BI is critical from all aspects. It is not very business specific or function specific. It is across all of them. So somebody having a career in BI can go anywhere. So currently I'm working with Geo Platforms. I'm part of the analytics team and I lead the business intelligence practices within Geo. So been here for almost 8 years. Prior to Geo, I was working with Deloitte Consulting. So we had a arm in Hyderabad which used to support all the clients from US. So again, there also I was predominantly managing the analytics and technology pieces in Deloitte. Prior to Deloitte, I spent some years with Standard Chartered Bank. So they had their shared services in Chennai, where I used to manage the reporting and technology bit. Also had experience in the telecom industries, worked with Reliance Communication and Tata Services. Also had banking experience with ICICI Bank. So had a varied domain experience and also roam around a lot in south of India through my various jobs across these industries. So yeah, almost 20 plus years, out of which 15 years have been in the BI space, starting small with MIS in Excel and everything, now coming on to more advanced BI solutions. So that's been my journey so far. Business intelligence is like a technology driven process. So it is very technology technical in nature and it's used for analyzing data, delivering actionable information that will help people across all the streams. So you have the top layer management, you have managers, you have workers, and what that it helps is it makes them help take informed business decision. So in the earlier times, a lot of things used to happen through experience and through gut feelings, but now through the business intelligence methodology, we have a scope where we can take decision based on data. So that's the whole nutshell of business intelligence. And the whole process is like where the organization collects data. So the data is getting created through various systems. So you have your system of records where the data gets created. It can be internal data systems or can be external data systems. And then what happens is all this data is collated in a central repository. And on top of that, various queries and everything is run on this data. And then we create your dashboards, data visualization, reports and everything. And then these are then distributed to all the business users and they can make their operation decisions, strategy planning and everything. So that is the whole life cycle of the BI process where you start with getting the data created and then consuming it through various insights and information through various tools like data visualization tool, reports and dashboards. Yeah, so I guess there's a very thin line because earlier when we started with business intelligence, it was predominantly very focused on what happened and how it happened. So it's all about the past data. So say if I give an example, so somebody is at a stage of his life and then we have all his education information, what he has done and everything. So what BI in general can tell you is like what all he has done, like where he has studied, what kind of marks he has got in his schooling, college and everything, and can tell what he's doing today. So that is more on the BI part. So business intelligence will tell you what happened and why it happened. So it is more descriptive nature. While a business analytics is more about prediction. So for the same example of this person, like say he's like say 25 years now, and we know what he's done. But if you have to predict, okay, what kind of job he will get in the next 5 years, which industry he can go and everything, all that prediction can be done on the data that we have till now about that person. So it can help you tell you what will happen in future. So like I said, business intelligence is more hindsight and then analytics is more foresight kind of a thing. But the line is getting blurred now. So earlier it was very distinctive kind of a thing, but now there is a lot of tools are come into place, which because of which this line is getting blurred now. So earlier BI was just about visual insights, dashboards, and
Right, right.
reporting and everything. And analytics was more about statistic, data modeling, finance, and forecasting. What we're at the end of the day, what we are providing everybody is information.
Right.
So when information is provided, the key element is data. So somebody who is very good with numbers uh, is definitely is going to be happy doing this job, because a lot of time it becomes very mundane and repetitive kind of a thing. But if somebody likes looking at numbers and trying to churn inside of that, he will be excited about that. Second is has to be have a good logical thinking ability, because a lot of time all our use cases are where people come with a problem. So they have a problem, they have issues and everything, and so we need to resolve that. So unless you think logically and try to resolve it, it will not going to happen. So logical thinking capability has to be there. Third is you need to have attention to details. So people should understand what has been asked and should be very clear with it. And when we even provide solution, it should be to the T. We can't deviate and say, okay, I only have data for a few months, so this is the output kind of a thing. We need to be very clear and be clean with the T. And then last is the problem solving mindset. Like I said, when somebody comes to us, they always have a problem. So we should have an attitude that even if a solution is not working, let's go to the next one. Let's try to see how we can also have a bypass kind of a thing, where if 100% of the problems not getting resolved, at least we'll try make a head start and try to resolve some of the problems. So somebody with good problem solving skill is essential. And this being very technical, logical thing, like creating logics while coding and everything is important. So good amount of coding knowledge if somebody has. So I know you spoke about this is being like this is we are talking to people who might be starting their careers and everything. So I'll advise people to get into coding. It might sound and look little complex to start with, but then once you get a hang of it, it is easy to master that. So coding is critical for somebody. So if somebody has a good ability to code and write statements and everything, it's a good start for them. So a lot of the BI solutions that is coming now, like say from a visualization standpoint, because see, end of the day, a lot of people have data. We put a lot of insight into it, and then we show it to them. So end of the day, the stakeholders are only seeing the dashboards or the output. So today's tools like Tableau, Power BI, and all of them have a lot of strong analytics engine built into the system itself, which will help do all this kind of coding. But yeah, from a language perspective, SQL, Python, R, C plus, and everything, these are basic stuff. If somebody knows, it becomes very easy for them to understand the data, and a lot of data modeling is done top of the raw data that's available. So these kind of tools, if people are aware of, like especially SQL and everything, Python, R is also there, but it is more in an advanced stage. But if somebody can start with SQL and these kind of language, it will be easy for them to scale up when they get into any kind of complex requirement. The critical one to start is having good business acumen also, in the sense when you start any kind of a project, because all the solution that we're trying to build is for a stakeholder or a customer who has come up with us with some requirement which requires solution. So without understanding the business, you can't provide any kind of solution. You may be good very technically, but if you don't understand the business, the solution is not going to work. So having a good business acumen is important. Then the crux of everything is data. So knowledge of data collection protocol software is very important, because that is where if you get the data right, because in the whole BI kind of process, 70 to 80% is all about data. Getting the data, crunching it, churning it, getting into data cubes and everything. So having a good command over data collection protocol is important kind of a thing. And then there's a lot of integration that happens. So we have a lot of programs, software coming into it, and so how having some expertise in integrating programs, software into the data service is something they should know. And then familiarity with data mining tool, data modeling concepts, data warehousing, and everything. So these kind of expertise, if people create or learn, will be useful for them in their career going forward. When we start talking to the business, one thing we understand is they also don't know what they don't know. So that is one particular challenge. The stakeholders doesn't know, okay, what to get for out of this information. So getting a good business understanding is always a challenge. So if there's clarity with the end user, our life becomes very easy. But if they're also trying to figure out what to do, kind of a thing, so it becomes difficult for us to create a solution. So getting a clarity on the business requirement is sometimes a challenge, which we have to like talk and talk, and then after that we get a good clarity on what the end user wants. So that is one challenge that we see. One other big challenge is the data quality. A lot of time, the way the data is stored, it is not very structured, it is not clean. There's a lot of blank information. There's incorrect way of, like, say, date of birth can be DDMMYY, or can be MMDDYY, or names can be spelled in different ways and everything. So data quality is a very big challenge, because unless you get it cleaned, it will never work. So getting the, like I said earlier, the data part consumes almost 70 to 80% of the whole project. So, and one big problem or obstacle is the data quality part of it. That is something that we have on a regular basis.
Right.
Every project will have that. Or we also have issue with digitization. A lot of people still work on Excel and Words and PDFs, and that becomes a difficult data source for us. So we need to address that problem also. So how to ensure that the data is in a system and not in Excel in a manual kind of a thing. So these kind of challenges do come up, and we try to address that through the various experience that we have in our previous projects, and help the business overcome that by giving them a relevant solution.